Nerves and muscles are excitable tissues. In order to contract the skeletal muscle, it has to undergo the excitation. That excitation is essentially receiving from the motor neuron. The terminal portion of the alpha motor neuron, which is coming from the anterior gray matter of the spinal cord, is eventually innervating to the muscle fiber. So this is called the terminal button of the branch of alpha motor neuron, neuronal terminal. And there are a lot of invaginations of the sarcolemmal portion of the muscle fiber. So this entire portion is the muscle fiber. So the invagination of the muscle fiber, the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber, is facilitating the larger surface area where the muscle could have the better communication from the nerve terminal. So essentially the nerve terminal hand over the excitation to the muscle fiber by chemical means. And there are invaginations, the deep invaginations inside the muscle fiber by the sarcolemma muscle membrane known as T-tubules. In either side of the T-tubule, we have sac-like cisternae, which is highly modified sarcoplasmic reticulum. So these are the cisternae, sac-like sarcoplasmic reticulum, highly modified one in the cytosol. So we have one more SR here in either side of the T-tubule. So this entire portion is called triad. So the sarcoplasmic reticulum function is to hold the calcium ions in the large quantities, because SR is the one has got the chemical protein known as calciquercetin holding the Hughes calcium ions, Hughes affinity, so that highest calcium concentration is there in the SRs of the muscle fiber. So in muscle fiber, these sarcoplasmic reticulum are highly developed. And further, if you go into the deeper structure of the muscle fiber, we have the very essential elements, so-called muscle proteins. We have muscle proteins, the thin filaments, these green color, the globular proteins are threads known as the thin filaments called actin filaments, globular proteins. These actin filaments has got one thin band, the green color band is tropomyosin, and we have three subunits of the proteins, globular proteins, arranged in the form of clusters here and there on the tropomyosin, known as troponin T, troponin C, troponin I. And we have thick filament is called myosin, and myosin is the thick filament. At the myosin, around the myosin, we have a lot of actin filaments in the three-dimensional view. So myosin filaments also has got some heads which can interact with the actin filaments. So from here, this is called Z line, and this is called one more Z line. So from here to here, this is called one functional unit of the muscle fiber. So sarcomere is a structural and functional unit. While contraction of the muscle, the sarcomere shortens and relaxes and increases the sarcomere length while relaxation of the muscle fiber. And let us see how the neuromuscular junction or neuromuscular terminal hand over its excitability to the muscles. As the action potential hits to the terminal portion of the neuron, alpha motor neuron, that means the propagation of the action potential can happen by influx of lot of sodium ions. The sodium ions influx is causing the propagation of the action potential towards the terminal portion of the neuron. Now terminal, motor terminal. At the end of motor terminal, we have lot of calcium ions The calcium ions are highly concentrated at the terminal portion. So as the action potential hits, the potential hits to the terminal portion, the calcium ions get activated, so that this calcium ions facilitates exocytosis of ACH molecule, acetylcholine molecule. So these ACH molecules are highly concentrated in the vesicles on the terminal portion of the motor neuron. This acetylcholine molecules, once they get released into the cleft, so there is a gap between the muscle and neuronal area. So this is called motor end plate. And so on the surface of the muscle fiber, the sarcolemma of the muscle fiber, we have huge number of receptors, so called ACH receptors. So these are ACH receptors. So these ACH receptors are nothing but sodium channels. Once the ACH is binding to these receptors, so these receptors undergo the conformational change which promotes the sodium entry inside the cell. Now the excitation of the nerve terminal releases the chemical, so called the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, and then eventually it binds to the sodium channels. These are called ligand gated sodium channel because the acetylcholine here is the ligand. So this ligand gated sodium channels, once they activates, it changes the potential inside the cell, muscle cells. So now the muscle cells excited, the muscle cell is excited, then this excitation is therefore propagates across the cell membrane, so all over the directions. It's not that the excitation from the nerve terminal goes to the only one direction, so it can go either directions. So as this excitation, that means the sodium channel activation, the propagation of the excitation can go deepest part of the even T tubule, because the next immediate invagination or the deeper part of the sarcolemma is known as T tubule. As the excitation moves downwards, so we have very specialized receptors over here. So those are called dihydropyridine receptors, DHPR, dihydropyridine receptors. These are nothing but calcium channels, voltage gated calcium channels. So these channels, once they activates, because the action potential or excitation is coming all the way towards these receptors, because the sodium channels are the one creating the action potential or propagative action potential across the cell membrane. And because this action potential has to go deeper part of the cell membrane in order to contract the muscle fibers. So the DHPR, dihydropyridine receptors, are the calcium channels which are locates the terminal portion of the invagination of T tubules. Then these DHPR receptors again activates very specialized receptors. These are again calcium channels called RYR receptors, ryanodine receptors. So these ryanodine receptors are present on the membrane of SR, sarcoplasmic reticulum cisternae, and research suggesting that DHPR receptors has got the physical contact with the SRs, with directly RYR receptors. Once therefore DHPR receptor, dihydropyridine receptors activates, that eventually further activates RY receptors. That's where the calcium ions are outpouring from the SRs. Then this calcium ion are coming out from the RYR receptors from the sarcoplasmic reticulum or cisternae into the cytosol. We have now huge number of calcium ions in the cytosol coming here and here, everywhere from the SRs. So these calcium ions then again go and bind with the troponin C of the globular protein present on the actin filaments. Once this C is bind with the troponin C is bind with the calcium ions, then that promotes the conformational change in the actin filaments. These actin filaments, conformational change essentially happens in the alpha tropomyosin, is the band-like protein which is essentially covering the active sites of the actin filaments. Once these active sites of the actin filaments are exposed, now the actin filaments are ready to bind with the or interact with the myosin heads. So these are going to interact myosin heads. The actin filaments trying to interact with the myosin heads because now myosin heads are already charged with the ATP molecules. Once the myosin heads are ready with the ATP molecule, charged molecule, now for example this is the myosin head, this is the actin filaments. The myosin heads now activated. Once the myosin heads are activated with the ATP, thereafter now calcium is binding with the troponin C and conformational change of the actin filaments where the active sites are exposed now immediately binds. Now head of the myosin is binding with the actin active sites, and again thereafter it try to pulls towards the center, again binds towards the center, again binds. So this is called power stroke. That means the length between two Z lines will decrease. So the ultimate action of the contraction, the length from here is decreasing. So that means from two Z lines length decreases because as the actin filaments are moving towards the center, both actin filaments moving towards the center towards the M line, towards the M line. This is the M line. So this is M line. So once the power stroke is over, again it relaxes because the calcium ions go back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum by the calcium pumps. Those are called SERCA. The calcium pumps are activated once the contraction is finished, and then it go back. The calcium once go back into the cytosol, go back into the sarcoplasmic reticulum, there is no more calcium activation conformational change of the troponin or the active troponin C, and therefore the active sites of the actin try to cover up so that there is no contraction, there is no interaction between the actin and myosins. So this is how the excitation releases, excitation of the nerve terminal causes the release of chemical so-called neurotransmitter acetylcholine, then binds with the acetylcholine receptors, and then again excitation of the muscle fiber and propagates and release of the calcium and binding with the calcium troponin C and actin myosin interaction with the help of ATP. So this entire process is called excitation contraction coupling. With this, I would like to conclude in this video. The excitation contraction coupling is happening because the excitation hits to the nerve terminal, releasing the chemical messenger, so that ligand is binding with the sodium ions. That sodium triggers again in the excitation in the muscles and propagates across the T-tubule, and DHPR receptors, RYR receptors activation, release of the calcium ions into the cytosol, and this calcium again binds with the troponin C, conformational change of actin filaments, interaction of the actin filaments with the myosin head, and contraction with the help of ATP. So this is called excitation contraction coupling.